My first question is, how is it for you guys, you know, being women in role play? Because one of the things that I think is true is just sort of a definite thing is like there's definitely more. I think it doesn't matter what server. It's definitely there's more men involved in the role play scene, at
Mhm.
least from most servers I've seen.
So I think I can pretty much speak first. I think for me, at least, you are correct. There's always been like over the years, it's been more like male kind of in the pictures than females, and as time like progresses, as role play progresses, it's really nice to see a lot of different variety of different women in different groups. Even that's what civs, gangs, or whatever role play have become so many important characters. Part of the role play they see as equals, because a lot of the time we're not like sometimes we're not seen as equals at all. Like sometimes we don't feel like our voice is being heard or we feel a little bit more downplayed because of those reasons. But the fact is as time progresses, it's really nice that even individuals, even as like guys will see as like us as equals, like, we can't really be anything without, women like part of like our community as well because they're just as important than we are kind of thing. And I think as time progresses, even in like a community with no pixel, like it's starting to see that like everyone has a part to play, which is really nice. And my experience of the people that I continue to role play with, I'm starting to see a big change with that, which is really nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I have to agree. Over time, things have definitely, gotten better. But for me, I think No Pixel has kind of become one of the safer spaces, in my opinion, out there on the internet. Because if you consider all the other places on the internet that women could go and interact with, you know, basically primarily male dominated spaces, we're not really welcome as much. And I personally, that's something that I like about NoPixel and that I've always liked. Because my intro to roleplay was really just not good. Um, and that is actually one of the reasons why I chose NoPixel as a space. Um, so for me, I have noticed, improvements, of course. No community's perfect, but I do agree that things have been progressively just getting better and better. And I think there's always going to be room to improve with that kind of stuff. But I'm really happy with where No Pixel is at right now.
I actually feel similarly too. It's gotten a lot better. I think I've been lucky because I've been a part of really, really cool circles as well. Like with Cerberus, I was always kind of pushed up by other people and like had really cool opportunities and stuff within roleplay where I haven't really felt I haven't been at least recently, like recent years for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. I'm the same. I haven't really been in like I've been fortunate enough to been in circles where people who have had like pretty cool with when it comes to like empowering females and everything like that. So I definitely tell there's a huge difference with No Pixel and their attitude towards it. So it's been good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you this is just again my weird. So it's a question back to you guys
Here,
is like,
I'll help you out here.
yeah, help me
You
out.
have permission to speak on this topic. I promise we're not
Yeah.
going to bite you. It's
Yeah,
okay. You
you're
can
good.
you can
Yeah,
have
you're
an opinion.
fine.
I got
You
the
can
pass
say it.
today.
You're
No, no,
welcome.
Ask the question.
no. I was just gonna say. I mean, I think I was gonna say as to what you were saying, Nikki. It feels like as an experience. If you think about just as a gaming experience, because role play communities are whitelisted or because they have some degree of moderation, it actually feels like it can be a safer place, right? Like if you go to a Valorant game, you know, not to knock on my alma mater, but like Riot's not gonna you're not gonna get help there, right? Like I've seen
Yeah.
any number of clips of women playing in Valorant or in Overwatch, and they just get cooked, right?
Mhm.
Whereas,
Mhm.
and so I guess my question then to you, Nikki, as someone whose staff's like, how do you guys, and it's whatever you're comfortable saying, how have you guys then been like set the standard or rules for like monitoring that kind of stuff?
Oh God. That's a messy topic, to be honest with you. Like every situation is different. We approach everything case by case, and you know, we have a really great team of staff on the female side that handle a lot of that stuff, and we kind of screen things a little bit, and then if needed, we'll bring in the rest of the team. But generally speaking, we handle things case by case. Every situation is extremely different, extremely nuanced. Like you can't just have a recipe to handle everything. Like it's very difficult to go into certain things and touch certain topics without like I don't know. It's a hard one to really get into, to be honest with you, because there's so much to it, more so than people really would think. And there's two sides to every story. There's so many facets to every situation. And like it's something that we as staff have struggled with for a while. And there's not really a good solution that you can always land on. Because at the end of the day, sometimes one person is just gonna get screwed over, and, uh, you know, that's just a thing with life, and, I mean, that can be applied to anything staff related, to be honest with you, but, um, that's really a hard question to answer without going into too much detail.
Yeah,
Um
no, totally fair. This question actually, I think this will definitely be for Ruthless and an Angel. This is like
Mhm.
this is an interesting question, and I think Ashley, you and Nikita can weigh in on as well. One, and this was in my sort of list of questions. It's an interesting one.
Yeah.
Uh, gangs, like
Mhm.
uh, this is a weird thing where it's like gangs or the criminal underworld
Mhm.
in real life, uh, is like inherently sexist and misogynistic. I think this is like
Mhm.
a weird, like something we
Mhm.
maybe don't think about, but I'm like, I don't really think that like there's gang life where like their number one priority is being like inclusive and fair. It's probably just like the reality of
Mhm.
like gang life, right? So given that
Yeah.
that's like the case in the real world,
Mhm.
how do you guys then sort of manage that in like it's like okay, but now we're not actually gangsters, we're a bunch of sweaty nerds playing video games and role playing as gangsters. Now how do you like now role play that out and establish that that's not the case in role play?
Ruther, do you wanna answer?
I mean, honestly, I think it's just again, it just comes down to like the people that we have in our gang. And we have a lot of people that are very like respectful, like when it comes to like our characters making any sort of opinions or decisions or anything like that, and which helps a lot, to be honest. With that.
No, I totally agree. It like just kind of what she said a little bit. It's just like it's really nice to be in an environment that like yeah, you may not technically see most girls like in real life, like in like down like street gangs majority of the time. But like it's really like and then coming into like role play to portray that kind of lifestyle is
Mhm.
still remember it's still like a character that you're playing. It's really different, but at the same time, you're not necessarily thinking about like how they do it in real life. You're mostly just trying to think about it as just role playing as a whatever kind of gangster kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like there's no rule book a majority of the time. Like people, like obviously you do your homework of what you try to role play. But for
Mhm.
me, especially when it comes to those kind of things, because sometimes a lot of the times gang can be a little bit controversial. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a woman in a gang sometimes and other people from outside of like, oh, a girl in a gang is just doing, shit for approval kind of thing, wants to be down with the guys just to be
Yeah.
accepted or the case may be, or this and that. And nine times out of 10, it's mostly like being like most majority of the time, it's way harder because it's just like we got even before for me, I could speak at least, I got so much shit for like I didn't feel like I was kind of like valued
Oh yeah.
because I was like my voice was heard because like I felt like I was like a girl and sometimes it's nice now to go through like a change in experience of like over the course of months and years
Mhm.
of like role play to be in an environment of people who's like okay we see you as equality as one of us kind of thing, not just we're not just going to include you just because you're a girl, but we do like empower like your voice because you
Yeah.
offer something, not just because you're but like not just because of your sex of just being a woman, but just
Mhm.
necessary like you add something more not to the group into the game and your voice does matter. And I really do like I said, as time moves on and how time develops, it's a way more different experience for like everyone for sure.
Yeah, and I think Angel and I talked about it, how we had kind of had similar experiences prior to, in our role play, about like basically feeling like weren't really valued and our opinions weren't really heard a lot. Um, but again, like I said, we're I mean, I at least I for me, we're an amazing group. We're surrounded by a bunch of people in a manner that I really are very respectful of, and kind of just help, like, they actually lift us up more than anything. Like, they're like, they encourage us to like state our opinions and everything like that. So, which is very, very refreshing to have. Do you have anything?
Oh.
I was gonna say Ashley, Nikita. I mean, any thoughts on that? I mean, Ashley, you're in not a gang company, but
Hashtag not a gang.
Um,
You
I
haven't
mean,
really RP'd in a gang, so
I haven't really been too far into the gang stuff either, but like I do think there are certain topics that kind of a lot of people in roleplay just don't touch, and the sexism is one of them that people really shouldn't really approach, because yes, that is it's something that exists in real life, but it's something that we probably shouldn't really get close to in roleplay, similar to other things. Like, if you're talking about gangs, let's be honest, there is a degree of racism in the gang life,
Mhm.
and we really
Mhm.
don't touch that one because
Yeah.
there's a very
Yeah.
valid reason that we would not touch that one, and I think sexism kind of falls into that similar category. Like, we don't really need that in order to provide the entertainment of the role play and what we're conveying on the screen to our viewers and stuff. So I think that's one of the things that I would say is, like, NoPixel does pretty well. The gang life. Maybe it's not realistic, but do we really need it to be? I don't know if we need to.
Mhm. No, I agree.
I do think that's something I've seen from 3.0, like early days joining 3.0 to where we are now in 4.0 is just feels like there's a lot more women in the gangs, which is kind of sick to see.
Mhm.
Like, I actually think if you were to
Mhm.
look at like early 3.0 to now in 4.0, I think there's just like a clear progression. I think just the, I mean, Nikki, you might be able to speak to the stats, but I actually think NoPixels just has a lot more women role playing on it now, which has been pretty sweet to see.